boiling water.
Oh god, I'm spilling.
Listen. I'm just gonna put it down.
Ooh, that's yum.
I'll
Alright.
sip it in imagination because I will
So-
spill it.
That's so good.
The tea for today is Vanilla Dreams.
It's very good.
It's
dreamy.
So good.
dreamy, just like biscuit.
Aww.
And our topic for today is kind of a jumble of things. It's communication and social media and Generation Z and how all three of them kind of like melting pot into Vanilla Dreams, you know?
Yeah.
And so
It's like a fondue.
None of this is a dream, so
it's a mixture of things, you know? And so basically, Generation Z, because let's just hop right in, right? And you cringe at me. You have the audacity to cringe at me.
I'm just mixing, you know that song where it's like,
Do you see?
Nope, I'm just.
wait, no, you know that song, it's like, make me okay.
I think this is.
Wait, that's Betty Boop. That's like.
Unintelligible.
No, it's a children's show, not like Betty Wap.
I
Like,
think.
make a cake.
And then there's like Ignition from R. Kelly, like
Yeah,
lyrics to Ignition, fresh out the kitchen.
She can't post this on YouTube anymore.
No, but too much.
This is why we take 2.5 hours. This is the reason.
Oh, this is why we take so long?
2.5 hours.
I think it's
Okay.
more of this
episodes.
tease.
I think this is the
It's
reason.
gonna be a wild ride.
Anyways, that was a
straight. Hold on. Are they still?
yeah. This is an example of Gen Z. We break out into songs from childhood and Betty Wap. There you
Easily
go.
distracted.
So Generation Z, as I did my research today, it starts from like mid 1990s to mid 2000s, and then they don't really know where the end is yet. I've heard people say like 2012 or like 2010, but maybe it goes a little bit more. I don't know. We're still working on it. So we fall in the middle-ish / beginning of Generation Z because I was born in 2003.
Whoa,
Wow.
you were?
You're a babe?
You're an 03?
I'm 16.
I'm gonna too.
Well, I'm an 02 too, but I'm January 02, so I'm basically not an 02.
That's not.
That's exactly how it works. That's exactly how it works.
She was this close. This is
Says
why
the
we
one
take so
that
long.
said that a yield sign is a signature.
No, we're not going back to that. We're not going back to that.
It's shame Anna hour. No, it's not.
Shame Anna.
I'm basically a 90s kid.
Oh my god, stop it.
I think that biscuits my new love. I
So-
don't know what else to say.
Basically,
I'm in love with the song.
we are the first generation to be born knowing computers since birth. Because the computer was first like publicized, not the computer, but like the internet was first like publicized in 1995. And so 1995 on, we have had the internet in our lives since our birth. Like, I don't know about you guys, like I played computer games as a kid.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I was the kid who was like,
Cool
I'm gonna-
Cool math game? Cool math game!
That was
Like,
the flames.
yeah.
2000s gang.
No, like
you know?
Papa's.
Papa's
Kitchen?
Pizzeria!
Whatever.
They were all so good. Every single Papa's
So
game
good.
was so
I'm
good.
obsessed with
They
them.
were so good. Yeah.
I've
Well,
heard of
I'm
it, but I
not
didn't
kidding.
play it.
Go play them. Like,
And
when
so-
you get home.
I'll put all my to-do lists.
It's so good.
My to-do list is a bit long right now, but
I heard my to-do list.
Generation Z, we love
We love
juuling.
juuling.
No.
This is why we take so long.
Sorry, we're not actually condoning
Max, I'm
juuling.
so sorry.
Yeah, our editor, poor
There's
Max.
so much to edit
I
out.
love Max.
But so, basically, I wrote down a bunch of like psychology notes from like PhDs about Generation Z. Didn't notice.
She's research.
But like, disclaimer. These are generalizations people have noticed. They like there's always an exception,
Yeah.
right? Like these are patterns that people have noticed that people our age tend to do and tend to have. It may not be applicable to you, or it may be applicable to you. It might be the majority, it might be half and half, but it's like these are things they have noticed and these are
Like,
things.
I may not choose to jewel because I have bad lungs anyways, but people in our school may go to our bathrooms 24/7 and decide to use nicotine as a resource and those addictions.
Can I tangent for a second? If you look up my high school on Google Maps and zoom in, literally our common room bathroom is named the Jewel Room. And I kid you not.
Yay!
I love high school.
I love that. But going back to like the point of not everything applies, I'm in psychology right now.
Yeah.
And I was talking about how like frustration and anger tend to be more apparent in males, But like that doesn't mean.
That doesn't mean women can't get angry or men can be calm. Like,
Yeah.
there's always gonna be a contradiction. So like,
Yeah.
be open, chill out.
It's just a
here's some ideas. So,
Let's get factual.
Let's get into her research.
Let's get into my
She's a good host.
doing my best.
I just
Doing
make
my
commentary based upon Jules. That's all I'm here for.
Gen Z,
spilling it.
everybody. Gen
Woo!
Z.
So something they've noticed is that like our parents, Gen X, were like work and life balance and figuring out how the two can balance. And when you're at work, you're at work, and when you're at home, you're at home, and there's a balance between the two. Our generation has been work-life blend, and apparently
that's
it's
100%
been
how I am.
it's been like we're always on all the time. Like we're not like on at work and then off at home. Like we are on all the time because the two are blended.
Okay,
Yeah.
for me, I feel like we're on all the time because of social media.
That's
Like, I've
true.
been sent homework at 11 o'clock at night that
Yeah.
to do the next day. And
Yeah.
It's like, what do you
Okay,
mean?
that's
That's kind of
awful.
cruel,
That's
I
like-
gotta say.
That's BS.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I feel like that is why we're on all the time, and that's why our life and work combined is
For
because
sure.
everything is online these days.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Right.
And
Yeah.
social
Like,
media
there's an
has
app
become
For everything.
There's a
Literally.
calm app that I have that's great. It like has
Oh,
like rain
yeah, yeah,
sounds
yeah.
and like calm sounds because I can get a little bit hyped up, which I'm sure none of you know yet.
I had no idea.
No idea.
No clue. I
No idea.
You're a little neurotic sometimes. No one knew that.
That was good.
Thank you.
I don't even know what one did, but I don't even want to.
Anyways, back.
Wow.
I'm so sorry, Max. I'm so sorry. And so, similar to millennials as well, Generation Z has kind of slowed down the developmental trajectory because, like, we're getting married later and we're focusing on, like, figuring out who we are as people, and also, like, we're just kind of, like,
Well, and when you
taking
think
our
of
time
our
together.
generation, so many more things are so more widely accepted now. Like
Oh yeah,
being gay, being trans,
equality, like value
Yeah.
and equality was
Yeah.
literally my next point. Like people are so,
Yeah.
I feel like people our age are so open about hearing other people's opinions and being
Yeah.
like,
Right.
oh, like you don't value the same things as me, like why? What makes you think that?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah, they're more communication based or
Yeah.
debate based.
For sure.
And that doesn't mean that we're trying to be difficult. That means we're trying to learn. And that's something that's been taken out of context so many times where it's like, oh, well, Gen Zers, they're so difficult. They provide so much debacle and debate or whatever you want to call it, right? Where it's like, okay, we're not trying to be problematic. We're trying to learn and educate ourselves and educate others.
also,
Yeah,
I have a
question
question.
the system.
Does anyone know if Gen Z has been like the biggest generation since the baby boomers?
I don't
Yeah.
have those facts, but I do have that
Well,
we are the last American generation with a white majority.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, meaning like the next one's
I think
beyond
the
us.
next one after us, whatever they're gonna be called, is we're the last with white majority. So like America is diversifying for sure.
That's crazy.
really interesting.
Isn't that
That's really encouraging. To be
That's really
honest.
good.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've always, it's so, people will always be like, oh, we're so diverse, but like when you look at the numbers behind it, are we?
Right.
Like, are we really? Because obviously, as a white woman of Gen Z and whatnot, like I may not,
As
I
all
don't-
of us are.
yeah, we don't see necessarily all the impacts of diversity, but that doesn't mean we can't.
Try and understand them and try to learn more about
Just
it.
because I may not be a
And
person
see
of
the
color doesn't
attempts.
mean I
I
can't
don't want
talk.
to understand.
Yeah.
I want to be an ally, and sometimes I don't know how. And so like, please tell us like specific ways that we as white women of Generation Z can like be allies. I want to help, but sometimes I don't
And
know
how we can
and
also
I'm
get
not
like
educated
your
enough.
voice out there.
And that's
Yes.
a big thing about when we
Yes.
say that Gen Z may be more common to do that. Like that doesn't say anything about the previous generations that they
Yeah.
aren't as that there aren't people that are there that is more that are as accepting or more accepting than we may
yeah,
be.
exactly.
It's just saying that that's become more as a generalization rather than a minority, right?
Yeah.
So like the opinion in minority, I mean more of like while people of color may still remain to be a minority, their appearance and presence may not be an actual minority, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely a really important aspect of Gen Z as a whole, right?
We're definitely
Because
becoming more versatile and open about it.
like social media may promote some bad things, but in the end, it really shows us a lot.
My whole thing about social media is that like it depends on how you use it.
Yeah.
It can be
Yes.
it can be such a positive, and it can be an educational tool,
Mhm.
and it can be so progressive, and you can
But there's
learn so much,
so
and you
many
can get so
negatives.
many so many facts and information, and you can like share your own. But also it can be such a negative. Like we have seen
Well,
like
you
anxiety
said,
and
we are
depression
on
rising because
all
we are
the time.
comparing ourselves constantly
Oh, yeah. And we
to
are
this
on
like perfect
Mhm.
Instagram person
all
that we
the
see.
time.
And this is also very debatable, but kind of a tangent, but also relating to social media, is social media can have, okay, when it comes to things like such as like mental health, like there are outlets on social media where you can get help.
But there's also
But
triggering
also
content.
Triggering
Yeah.
content, or people will literally seek things out.
Yeah.
Like,
There's hashtag self-harm or
Yeah.
hashtag whatever, and it's really, and the thing is, like, Instagram may say you're about to see sensitive content, but that kind of stuff isn't deleted a lot of times.
Yeah.
right.
Why would you, and I understand sometimes sensitive content may mean,
It
like,
can mean different
it
things.
can mean different
Yeah.
things, but when it's like a picture of like someone's cuts in their arms, I don't want to see that. No one should see that. That's never going to be something that's positive unless it's like healed scars. That may be something that's positive.
Yeah.
But fresh, like that's just like
Showing healing is good, and I think on that topic, I think it's good to talk about it, but don't
Yeah.
glorify it.
don't glorify.
Yes.
Don't make it a thing that's like, this is cool. It's like, no, we want to get help. We want to
Yeah.
make this so
Right.
it's
And
not
it's like-
your first option.
And that's what I think is so cool about social media, but it also makes it so harmful.
It can
It's
be
like
so good and
so many
bad.
people do use it as an outlet,
Mhm.
but how are you using that outlet?
Yeah.
And why are you using that outlet? And what are your intentions and what is your
Mhm.
mental state?
And then also like
Like when you open Instagram, do you go to look at these pretty girls? Or do you go to like look at friends and encourage them
Mhm.
and be an ally?
yeah, and being
Yeah.
in psychology, it's like you are, but
Yeah.
I just look up weird psychology facts sometimes.
But
But
she
like
gets off on that. She loves it.
T.
I'm getting
your
back at
cake.
you. I'm getting back at you because last time you harassed me about that, so I'm getting back.
okay, I was a part of it. They
I'm
were
getting
also-
back. I'm getting back at
Don't
you.
drag us into this.
I go down here all coming with me.
I'm biting back. I'm
Taking
biting.
some good time with Biscuit.
You need to get Biscuit off your lap.
Biscuit.
Nope.
Oh my gosh, this is great.
They're a team now. It's a power
You're a
team.
team.
Another thing
Batman and Robin.
about Generation Z, iconic.
Obviously
duo.
Batman.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Obviously Batman.
Biscuit is the bad.
Oh, for sure.
Anyways, moving on.
Biscuit
Jamie
is the
bad.
Batman. Biscuit is the Batman. Psych if you didn't know. But another like thing about Generation Z. Shut up.
Shakespeare with like the skull looking like. Tis I.
Another thing about Generation Z is that we, instead of like consuming content off of social media stuff, we're actually becoming more creators
Yeah.
of the content itself. And
Yeah.
like a bunch of like students and like young people post videos and stuff, and like
I post videos all the time.
they get like TikTok famous or whatever. Like, I mean, it's a thing.
If you
So,
don't know what TikTok is, don't look it up. It's not worth your time.
Like,
Anyways.
it's like
I disagree. It's very amusing.
Actually, it is
Okay.
funny. It is funny.
Okay, here's my viewpoint on TikTok. Is it's trying to be Vine, and it'll never be as good as Vine because Vine is dead.
Vine is the icon.
No, but Vine is
The
only
original.
good because it died. If it didn't die, the Vine would be iconic.
That's so true.
So that's the
That's
tea.
so true.
Can we
Leave
have,
it
can we
dead.
have an office
Leave
moment
it
really quick? Just
dead. Leave it dead.
Tea.
Leave it be.
True.
I'm like a master of like quoting vines, kind of just throw it out there.
I dig it. I dig it.
But social media, in a way, with this whole, like, you just saw us go off for like a minute about TikTok or Vine or whatever. It creates unity in a way. Am I? Because like we all reference that kind of
There's
stuff.
so many pros and cons.
Yeah.
There are so many pros and cons of communication and all of this fun stuff. Like,
But one thing I have noticed about social media and its use, like even just over the past few years, is especially like school shooting threats through
Oh, yeah.
social media.
I'm sorry. My school, we had to have a racism assembly and also a
Really?
safety assembly because at one of our assemblies, students started naming their hotspots
Right.
threats
Right.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
racist slurs.
Yeah,
And
there
it
were
was,
those things that.
it was awful. We had to end the assembly early. We didn't have assemblies for months.
Wow.
It's like, so that's a con. because there will be the exception people. There will be the minority of people who do want to cause harm and will become the face of this generation and be like, oh, look what they're doing. It's like one person does something and that becomes the entire category of people.
That was like baby boomers. We think about like the Vietnam War. Like that was their face. Was like you went to war and killed innocent people.
Yeah.
But it took a long time for them to recover from that.
Yeah.
And recover from the hate from when they came home. If you're a theater person and haven't listened to Dogfight, please go listen. It's so good.
So definitely a con. Cons, people are like abusing it and using it to threaten other people, being faceless, and it's like, well, okay, come on, don't do that.
Yeah.
But other cons, like, I personally think, like, I love how it's being adapted into an educational tool, but it's also taking away from, like, face-to-face interactions.
That's right.
And so
That's
we're losing so many social cues,
Yeah.
and I feel like we're becoming too reliant on it.
Oh,
You know,
100%.
That's very true.
And
People
I mean,
don't
I'm
have
not
that.
even gonna lie. Like, I'm always on my phone. Like, I'm always in contact
Instagram
with
is
people.
too much of a waste of my time, and I need to delete it.
And the thing is, like with relationships, as in like a romantic sense, what will continually happen is like if I'm like talking to a guy or whatever, it's great over social media or texting or whatever, and then we get into person and he doesn't know how to act like a human being. And it's like, okay, so here's the thing, we do have to have interaction. We do have to still talk. I know it may seem intimidating. I know it may be loud. However, please do talk to me, or else this is not gonna work, you know? Things like that where like,
And people do hide behind their screens
Totally.
these days.
And
like,
it's not just
like
it's
I've lost a friendship behind a screen,
yeah.
and like to me, not okay.
And like breakups happen over screen
Yeah.
because it's just
and it's like
easier, and it's like
I get that,
stop.
but if it happens over a screen, how much did you really mean to that person? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
why is a screen the go-to instead of the person's face or even a phone call?
We're becoming
Yeah.
so
Like why is
reliant.
it text? Why does a text have so much power over what we do?
And then what
And how
I
we
hate
act.
about texting, we're gonna get to what we love about it later, but what I hate about texting is that there are so many different connotations with which something can be said. It's not just
misinterpreted.
It is not just what you say, it is how you say it. Because I can be like, oh my god, Corinna, I love your sweater. I can be like, oh my god, Corinna, I love your sweater. And like over
Yeah.
text,
yeah. that's
you
true.
don't know which one I meant.
Yeah.
I do love your sweater because it's so cute. But like,
Thank you. I think
Corinna could have been in like a sad mood. She could have been like, Jamie hates my sweater.
And the thing is though that there's so many little people of like other generations may not understand. Like in Gen Z, it became a thing for some reason in middle school to only type in lowercase. You don't type in uppercase.
Yeah.
So guys remember
I
that?
don't also losing grammar
I don't use
skills.
uppercase.
We are
I don't use uppercase. I turn it off on my phone.
Yeah.
We are losing
And it's like,
grammar
why did I
skills.
do that?
But when I write, I still.
Yeah.
Who needs grammar skills when you have spell check? It just
And it's like,
doesn't
no,
for
oh
you.
my
We're
gosh,
becoming
I'm
reliant, and I honestly
I'm
don't know some
not
punctuation
even-
rules, and I'm like,
I'm
I need
not
to
even
know.
gonna lie. I don't know how to spell without spell check.
Oh yeah,
Not
I'm
gonna
such
lie.
a bad speller.
I'm terrible at spelling.
I mean, and the thing is that like, you know, something as simple as like a period, like a punctuation mark can indicate for us like you're being petty or you're angry.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Instead of
If
like
it's
a period,
thank
instead
you,
of an
period.
exclamation point, I'm like, what does it mean?
No, or like
Yeah.
when my parents say K because they don't realize that K to us means like K, like.
Yeah. Because
And they just say K and they put a period. I'm like, you can't do this to me.
Why do you hate me?
Yeah.
Because you either
So
say
being
KK
disowned.
or you say KK, okay, or if you spell out OKAY, it's like, what are you doing? Like, the
Oh no, I use okay.
You do?
I do
Yeah,
that
I
too.
do that.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
I
guess
just
I
mean
should
it
say-
like okay.
Mhm.
If I say K, I'm like K.
Yeah.
Like I'm not.
The
listening
eyebrow
anymore.
raise, the eyebrow
No,
raise.
if I say K to you, I am not listening anymore. I'm just like K.
Oh,
Okay.
that's fine, period.
Look out for Corinna in the comments. She's gonna
If she's gonna respond to you with K, she's angry.
She's done.
Lost herself. But I mean,
No, but
that's,
like we have so many things these days, like texting,
Yeah.
and like I love you through text doesn't.
That is not the same thing as
I
like
love
a
it anymore.
face-to-face
And, like,
relationship.
Yeah, but even like ILY. Why?
illy. Like it always seems to be that because people use, at least I use that in a circumstance when like, I'm terrified of, like, I've never said I love you to a guy before because I haven't ever loved a guy in that perspective, because no, but, like, I've always, like, or when one of my friends quickly, like, someone that I just met will be like, oh, I love you, I'll just respond with Illy too, like, because I think using the abbreviation makes it less serious.
It doesn't make it
right.
real, and it's like if
And,
I
like,
don't feel
I
like I
get
can
that,
still
But why?
reiterate the politeness.
But would you, if she said I love you in person?
I would, because I personally, I say I love you to my friends very, very, very easily,
Yeah.
which is another reason I'm terrified of, like, if I have
It
a
has
boyfriend or
different
whatever,
motivations.
I'm gonna accidentally say I love you to my boyfriend when I don't mean it. I will guarantee you that will happen in my life, and I'm gonna have to be like,
I believe it.
Well, okay,
It's gonna
for
happen.
me,
Yeah.
there's
I love you, but like not.
For me, there's like a very different. There's a big difference between I love you and being in love.
oh yeah,
Loving someone and
absolutely.
caring about someone is
Yeah.
very different than being in love
Yeah.
with someone and wanting to give them.
Like,
everything.
imagine getting a text from someone saying I'm in love with you. I'd be like,
Okay,
You're in
first,
love?
why'd you text me this?
yeah, how
Why
about
are you hiding behind your screen yet
Come
again?
over and
Yeah.
tell me to my face.
And this idea of hiding behind a screen. So when I look at kids, so I'll see like little kids, right?
They all have
Or
phones.
elementary school even, and I see people like they just want to stay on their phone and they don't want to get off their phone. And I'm like, when I was like 10 years old, I was out climbing trees,
Yeah.
getting into trouble, you know.
Yeah, we
But
still
we're
have
all
that childhood.
missing
But
that
then when you think
something.
about 17-year-olds 10 years ago or however long
They were
ago.
not doing the same stuff we were,
Right,
and
yeah.
it's crazy. Like,
But at
think
least
about
we still had that childhood outside. Like, I still remember
Exactly.
climbing trees and trying to break my arm doing that.
Yeah.
But,
Like,
like,
Yeah.
we were
Feel
missing.
that.
yeah.
We are missing out, but it's also like we're gaining something new because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
switching to the pros a little bit, social media gives you a huge global perspective that we would not be
Well,
able
I
to
get
have
so
without
many
that.
ideas from
I know.
social media.
Exactly,
And I
right?
learned a lot.
Yeah.
Like
through
it's
social
we
media.
have global outreach, and that's a huge thing with Generation Z.
Yeah.
Like one of our other things was like we have global aspirations, and 60% of us said we want to change the world according to upfront analytics.
So that's the thing where it's like people who refer to, even people refer to who are millennials or Gen Z or whatever, people refer to them as like, oh, the social media age. Ugh. Like, you need to look at the pros of this.
That
We're
has
not just
positives
losing,
as well.
we're not just losing an aspect of what you had as your
And I
childhood.
mean, I'm able to text my parents
And it's helpful, yeah.
yeah.
In this day and age, it's a safety thing too.
And plus, it keeps me
Mm.
in touch with people.
Because people who are further away,
Me
like,
as-
we
like-
live all over Washington State,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and we wouldn't
And
be able to do this
I-
without texting.
Personally, like, because I do theater, like,
Yeah.
friend everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I know so many people from so many different places. And
Yeah.
it's nice to be able to just, like, have that contact at any point in time. Because, like, a text is way more accessible than a phone
Yeah,
call
totally.
most times.
That's true.
Totally.
And sometimes it's considered rude to call someone now, because now it's like, why didn't you ask first?
Yeah.
Like, but the thing is, I like
My
hear that all the
mom
time.
does that.
It's like, why didn't you just text me in the middle of something or whatever? But the thing is that, like, you can't just focus on the negatives. You can't just focus on what we're losing.
Yeah.
You gotta see what we're gaining. We're gaining all this.
Yeah.
Thing is, I've learned so much off of social media.
Mhm.
I've learned how to act around certain kind of people. Like, thing is, like, you know, there's people who are maybe more sensitive than others, you know, and people share those certain things, right? They're like, and for example, I use social media to advocate for a lot of things, like you guys, like I've talked about before.
It
Like,
can be a tool.
Yeah.
it can be a tool to talk about things you're passionate about, right? Because talking about those things in person is hard because you have to find the right time to talk about it, you know. You don't always have those circumstances.
There's not always like a prompt to be like, hey, what are you into? And be like, let me tell you about everything I
Yeah.
love. It's like,
Gen Z may post a lot, but have you ever seen moms on Facebook?
They're worse.
Like, I'm so
They're
sorry.
worse.
my mom sends me Facebook memes throughout the day.
I love that.
She does.
My grandpa
She has-
emails memes to me.
Yes,
I
hey.
love grandpa.
I love your grandma.
Shout out to my grandpa. He's a real one.
And then, like, not only are we interconnected globally, we also have so much information right at our fingertips. Like, we're the information generation 100%.
Mhm.
Don't know
Because
it?
it is
Google
right
it.
there.
Yeah.
And like, while that could be a bad thing because we are dependent, like we're becoming like, oh, I don't need to memorize my like times tables because I can just Google it. Like, first of all, my times tables help me so much.
They really do. Now that I think about
Third
it.
grade me, thank you. I appreciate
First
you
of
for
all,
sticking it
I still
out.
have the quadratic formula memorized.
Negative being sine. What is the song?
Negative b plus or minus the square root of.
A minus or A equals the opposite of B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC.
Over 2A. There we go.
There's a song.
If you needed a
There's a
math
song. Over 2A. That's
You
how
learn
I
something new
remember.
every day.
I have to do my math final after this. I'll sing that in my head and cry, but I'll sing that in my head. It'll be there.
One thing that I know about Gen Z versus millennials is with millennials they have that reputation of being very like almost selfish, like oh they want everything for their personal gain.
Mhm.
Whereas Gen Z, like
Really?
studies have shown that they're more for the greater good.
We want to try, yeah.
I think a lot of things that we do is future focused rather than short term focused.
Yeah.
Because we have the access of social media, we know a lot of us are learning more about how permanent things are.
For
I
me,
think-
that's super stressful. I don't know about everyone else,
that's
but like
true.
for me,
Yeah.
I get very stressed out when like college or like
Yeah.
high school counselors are like, you're a freshman, you need to get ready for college, and I'm like, you're kidding, right? Like I don't know what I want to do for a living. I'm a
Right.
junior, almost a senior, and still don't know what I want to do for a living.
And that is fine.
And you're
though.
telling me that I have to spend millions of dollars on school to figure that out? Are you kidding?
Yeah, and that's the thing where it's like you don't necessarily need some sort of thing to figure it out because I know older generations, the thing is that because they haven't had this huge tool that really shows you how big the world is, they may not be able to focus on that bigger impact, right? They may not be able to realize how many people may be impacted by things like, I don't know, Black Lives Matter movement, right? They may not understand how many people are
You can
affected
get
by
a different.
discrimination.
You can get a different perspective. And
Yes.
also, I would love to point out that drug use, smoking, and teen pregnancy are at the lowest levels they've been in decades.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Also upfront analytics. So,
Dang.
That's crazy. Wow.
like, we're smart. Like, we understand the consequences of what we're doing, and it's like either, okay, I'm gonna pursue it, or it's like, maybe it's not worth it, maybe I'll think it through a little more.
So you can't look at us just like, oh, those dumb kids just on social media, like,
We are gaining knowledge, and one day we're gonna rule the world.
oh, what is this? Is this like money?
We're gaining the knowledge money.
Like Monopoly money? Monopoly is the
Yes.
longest game
Yes.
ever, and it's just,
This is so off topic, but also getting us back on topic.
it doesn't.
I feel like our generation, maybe it's just since like I was young when Obama got elected. I was in kindergarten when Obama got elected into his first term. we had like a fake little election in my kindergarten class.
Wait, I think I was in 3rd grade.
I was in the.
I was in kindergarten, I don't know.
Are you sure?
We had a little like fake ballot election thing. Anyways.
No, so did you.
I
Anyways.
was in the 2nd grade, I think, because we also did that in my class, my 2nd grade class.
Anyways.
I don't know what's happening.
Anyways, like maybe it's just because I was so much younger when Obama was president, but I feel like a 16, 17, 18-year-olds in the past haven't been as politically involved as we
No,
are now,
no,
as I
no.
feel I have to be. Because if
Yeah.
I go into a conversation and I feel like I don't know something, I'm gonna feel ignorant.
Yeah.
And okay.
Because everyone knows everything nowadays.
Nobody
so.
wants to feel ignorant, but it's also like Trump is president from when I'm 14 to 17, and honestly, that scares me a little bit, considering the fact that he said grab him by the pussy, and I'm a teenage girl, and I was like, wow.
Wow.
Rape is being okayed by the president of the United States. Like, that scares me, and so I want to be involved, and I want to understand what's going on. So, like, my dad and I talk about the Mueller report, and, like, we watch CNN and Fox, and we compare the two, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like we're just so much more involved, because I feel like we have to be, otherwise they're going to be like,
Yeah.
stupid kids.
Yeah.
You know?
Or because we're held under that expectation or that stereotype of, oh, they're stupid, we now have to be
We have to
even
fight
more
that,
educated than maybe you guys were when you were 17.
Yeah.
You have to think about that too, because we have to combat with all these stereotypes, and because of that, we are even more educated than maybe you guys were at this point. And that's not to say you guys are
and
dumb,
so
but
many of the rallies that have been going on, and like
yeah.
everything
The
that
climate
like,
change
have happened
rallies.
with
Fridays for the
social
Future?
media.
Mm-hmm.
Like it,
Fridays for the Future, Greta Thunberg, I love you.
but like it wouldn't have happened without social media because the word wouldn't have gotten out there.
Word
Yeah.
gets around globally to all of these countries around the world
In
because because social media has that power and that effect.
And it happens.
And people can
Yeah.
get involved, and we as a generation, we were kind of like, hey, we need something to be done, and you're the ones in charge. Do it. We're gonna show you how much this means to us. And so
I know that some Gen Zers find like the world record egg very stupid, but to me it shows like we
that's
do
so
have
cool.
the power.
Like look
We have
at
the power. Look how many likes that got.
Like
The
if
world-
we can do
yeah.
that, what else can we do that
Exactly.
can really make an impact?
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I think that's what that was meant to show.
yeah.
Was
It
like
wasn't
how fast
It wasn't
it
just
can
a
happen.
stupid world record. It was like, look at the power social media has.
Yeah.
It got millions upon millions of people involved in one
Exactly.
thing. And it's like, if we have that power to get all these people together, like Emily said, what else can we do?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
think of the power we can harness with that.
Gen Z can really take all this information
I
and we
think-
can use it.
Yeah.
Power
I
to the
think
people.
We are the power.
We are the future, so you gotta learn from us. Yay! Thank you
And
guys
also,
so
we'll learn
much.
from you.
Yeah, of
Yes.
course. We'll always learn.